Good afternoon and good morning and potentially good evening to everybody. Thanks a lot for joining us today for our Intune for MSPs launch event. Really excited to have everybody on. We had a lot of registrations, so I'm just going to give it maybe one more minute just to let everybody who potentially may be joining come on board. We've got a pretty jam-packed agenda for the next hour, and really excited that we've got Lior from the business director of Microsoft Intune joining us, who you most likely will have seen somewhere online, I would imagine. If not, you probably don't have LinkedIn. And we've also, of course, got Matej Smith, our CPO, and myself. I'm Will, the co-founder, one of the co-founders and chief community officer at Inforcer. So I think 3 minutes in, we're probably good to get started. We are recording the session, and so if anybody needs to jump off or whatever, that's absolutely no problem. We'll be sharing the recording as well. So I suppose if you guys wouldn't mind, maybe if we just start off, Lior, if you wouldn't mind just doing a quick introduction for anybody who doesn't have LinkedIn to get acquainted.
This is great. Introduced as a LinkedIn influencer. I never, that's it. I achieved a lifelong dream. Hi, everyone. My name is Lior Bella. I am part of the corporate Microsoft Intune team and the business lead, responsible of our partnerships, growth, community, everything that pretty much shows up in my email. I've been with Intune for 4 years, actually, in a couple of days. And excited to be here because this specific topic is something that I'm very excited about.
Love it. Yeah, so are we. And Matej, do you want to do a quick intro before we get fully started?
Sure thing. Hey, everyone. Matej. I am responsible for product engineering, and we have a lot of really nice things that we're working on. I'll tell you a little bit more about it later in the event. But I joined Inforcer in February after having worked at some other major vendors in the MSP space for a long time. So I spent the last 20 years in the MSP space. And yeah, it's good to see so many of you over here at the event.
Perfect. So we're going to kick off with Lior. And I suppose initially, Lior, I'd love to hear a little bit just directly from you on this initiative, sort of Intune for MSPs. Why is it something that Microsoft have decided to push forward with and invest a lot of their precious resources like yourself in actually getting this off the ground?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So long time ago, a year and a half ago, we started getting a lot more feedback that a lot of our customers viewed us Intune as an enterprise solution. But at the same time, we've been messaging security and management for all. It doesn't matter if you're a small business with 5 people or 10 people, everyone is vulnerable, especially for cyber attacks, requires management. Everyone cares about data privacy, and especially if you're in Europe, there is a lot more regulation. And we investigate what's the reason that this perception is happening. And we learned very quickly that while our solution is included in the Microsoft 365 Business Premium, which most customers has, and including Defender, Entra, and everything else that comes from Microsoft, it's harder for a lot of our MSPs who are usually manage our SMB customers to use Intune due to the multi-tenancy limitation. It's also the idea that our products are very, very customizable. And with the level of customization, you do also need a lot of training and skill set, and it requires a lot of time of learning and identifying how to do tasks, especially when you're looking at multi-tenancy. So we start investigating and we start looking into what we can do to help our customers use Microsoft Intune and all of the rest of the solutions. Yes, we had Microsoft 365 Lighthouse. However, Lighthouse wasn't as complete for all of our MSP needs. So we did the research. We did a lot of times. I personally spoke to over 350 MSPs to identify what's the opportunity, what is missing. And when we realized that Intune capabilities are there, and our product is great and ready for those customers. However, we just need to unblock the multi-tenancy capabilities. we spoke to many companies, which one of them is Inforcer, and investigated, tested the product, and verified that our customers can get a very good experience leveraging their Microsoft 365 license in a centralized dashboard that gives them the multi-tenancy capabilities and allow them to leverage the licenses they're already paying for Microsoft. So there is no additional cost for it from a Microsoft perspective. So it's a win-win situation. We are getting to expand our reach to a lot more customers, especially in the SMB space. And Inforcer is here to represent us and bring all of our solutions in a centralized view.
Yeah, perfect. Makes a lot of sense. And I suppose, and maybe actually just to make everyone aware, we are going to do a Q&A session at the end. So we're going to save sort of 10 minutes for people to use the Q&A button at the top, and they'll be able to put in questions, and it can be for myself, Lee, or for Matej, or for all of us, and we'll go through and answer them at the end of the session, just so everybody knows. So feel free to put in your questions throughout. One thing I was thinking, Lior, is if I'm an MSP, what am I expecting is going to be the benefit for me of this program?
So first of all, and we heard very loud and clear from MSPs, challenges are consistent. Margins. When you are in a commodity-like business that everyone are taking the same package of solutions and offering the managed services, it's very difficult to differentiate yourself, even if you're the best in class, because when people are comparing the different MSP solutions, they very quickly go after the price. And that's not where you want to lead your business. So Microsoft 365 license gives you a lot more capabilities, not just patch management, not just level 1, level 2 support and remote access. It's giving you a lot more capabilities to ensure that you can manage those devices, either Mac, Android, Windows, clearly. Also, if you bring your own devices, so you want to manage only the applications, this is to manage the device, all of those capabilities, Microsoft brings it to the table. So leveraging the license that the customer is already paying for, helping you as an MSP to save cost of services that you're actually buying right now for your existing solution to supplement the services and the needs that you need to give. So you don't need a separate identity solution. You don't need a separate patch management or application management solution. Everything is centralized to one place. And then because those capabilities exist and you have all of the security capabilities, you as an MSP capable and should offer a lot more services, not only just patch. I'm sorry picking up a patch, but patch has been old school. Patch management, you are also able to offer SOC, you are able to offer a Windows 365 management, or whatever it is. So you're becoming a powerhouse of a one-stop shop for all of the customer needs, including even selling devices, because you can sell a device directly from the OEM and deploy it using Autopilot. So first of all, we are saving cost because we're removing some of the needs for you to buy third-party solutions. Second, we're giving you so many great solutions that you can build on top of and offer your services so you can differentiate yourself. You are not a commoditized business. And third of all, I don't know if any of you heard about this thing. It's called AI, and it's not coming. It's here. And your customers will look up to you, the MSPs, to be their trusted advisor and implementer to help them adopt AI. And Copilot Studio is another capability that can come from a centralized point of view, and you allow yourself to help your customers to get to the era of AI, build some agents, and all of those capabilities. So even if you're an SMB and you have 10, 20 employees, you still deserve to use the latest and greatest technology.
Yeah, can agree more. And definitely that's something that we're certainly aligned on, is that understanding of AI is here already. I think it's like 75% of businesses have got people who are already using AI, and it's not always governed or secured effectively. And I think that's something that Matej is going to touch on a little bit when he goes into a little bit about what we're building that's in the roadmap. I guess one more question for me for this section for you, Lior, before we move into a demo. It's maybe a slightly selfish one, but you said you talked to a lot of different vendors, and of course there was only two who made it. And you're on a webinar with one of them today. Was there anything specific that made you guys feel like it made sense to work with Inforcer on this?
So Will is fishing for compliments over here. I see what's happening. Yes, when you develop such an important capability and you reach out to a new customer base, it's not something that you do every day. I've been at Microsoft for a good amount of years, and it's not something that we usually do, reaching out to a new completely set of customers and type of partners, MSPs and MSSPs. It's something that we had to learn, understand. And we were looking for partners of Microsoft that also understand the business. And the two partners that we chose are people with a lot of background around the MSP, understanding the MSPs. We are not in a sell business. We are in a business of finding solutions and improving the experiences for our customers. And specifically for Inforcer, I can say that it's always a pleasure to work with you guys because the level of energy and the level of knowledge is something that it's fun to work with as a partner, and to see your level of passion to your customers and the MSPs to solve those challenges and make their life much, much easier. And when I see this type of passion, I get attracted to it very quickly.
Love it. Thank you. So I'm going to just run through a couple of brief introduction slides because we've got a lot of people on this call, and I don't know if everybody knows who Inforcer are yet. So I'm going to do a quick intro to Inforcer, then I'm going to do a live demo of the product, and then I'm going to pass on to Matej. So Matej, I'm just going to share my screen if that's okay. Cool. So I just wanted to give you guys a very, very quick intro to myself. I'm one of the co-founders of Inforcer, been in the MSP space for over a decade. I was one of ConnectWise's first employees in the UK, helped them to grow the business in Europe. So apologies for that for anybody. And founded Inforcer with a couple of other guys who have spent their whole careers in the MSP space. An MSP owner, someone who had literally spent all of their working days in and out of tenants using PowerShell scripts and struggling with the multi-tenant challenge within Microsoft. And then Jamie, our CEO, and one of the other co-founders spent his whole career at Autotask, similar sort of situation, one of the first employees there, well, in fact, the first employee in the Netherlands. Now, in our different roles, we spent a lot of time with MSPs, and it just seemed like there wasn't a solution that was built for MSPs that could help them to be proactive when it comes to managing multiple tenants, reduce the risk across all of their customers when it comes to delivering policies, reducing human error, and ultimately allowing them to deliver more services on top of 365. Now, we launched the business we founded the business in 2022. In June, and we took on our first customer in January 2023, although we didn't have a UI yet. In fact, the first version of the UI didn't get released until October 2023, so just shy of 2 years ago. And it feels like we've been on a good track since then. We're 100% MSP focused, which I think aligns us really nicely to the Intune for MSPs initiative. We actually have 80 investors from the MSP community. So MSPs who use our platform were invited to actually invest into our tool and be on the journey with us. And in that time, we've been able to bring on over 800 MSP partners who are managing over 50,000 tenants within our tool. And that is growing every single month. And we've actually got a really great community, which is ultimately about getting MSPs in front of other MSPs, both in person, and some of you guys may have been to some of our Winning with Microsoft events we've done around the world over the last few months. Of course, Lior joined us for the London event, getting MSPs talking about the challenges they're having and how we can solve them together. But we also have an online community with over 1,000 people in it. And again, it's all about helping. And in fact, one of our partners said that often if he's got a problem, say he needs to build a new policy in Intune, he'll tend to go to the Inforcer community and ask the other MSPs because they've often already done the thing that he's trying to do, and he can get the answer a lot quicker than sieving through the internet. We are globally located, so we've got offices in London, LA, Tampa, Melbourne, Copenhagen, and Amsterdam. And a really important thing for us is to be close to our partners. Enables us to actually deliver an in-person community as well. It's a little bit easier when you do have people on the ground, but that is really important for us for the education and just enabling our partners to get more from the platform. And in terms of the tool itself, I am going to cover this in the demo, but just wanted to share some of the key points. And ultimately, we want to give you better visibility across all of your tenants. And within that, we also want to enable you to be more proactive. So we provide baselines. I'm going to share with you in the demo our CIS baseline. We've got proactive monitoring and alerting around things like policy drift, but also quite a lot of other things within 365. We're backing up all the config on all of your tenants. We've got some great custom reporting. We're going to enable you to standardize and automate your policy delivery. And of course, things like operational dashboards, where we're going to take, a lot of the complex information that even in one portal, if you take Entra as an example, there's so much information in there, and just bringing that into one place, making it more digestible, I think is really important. We've got some great AI, which we've embedded into the platform. And of course, the exclusive Microsoft partnership. And we actually provide updates on a monthly basis. So the things that are changing within Microsoft, we actually have a monthly webinar series called Dispatches, where we will present back to you guys all the updates that have been released in Microsoft each month, so that you can stay on top of the changes and make sure you're delivering the cutting edge level of security to your customers. So I am just going to switch screens and we'll jump into a quick demo. So as I mentioned, the goal here is to give you that multi-tenant view across all of your partners. So once you've got your tenants enrolled, you can see any number of tenants that you're managing. You can compare them against different baselines. You can actually compare the same tenant against different baselines as well. So you can talk to a customer about maybe moving to the next level of security. You can run reports around that, which I'll show you as we go through. The key thing here is once you get a customer compared to a baseline, you're going to get an alignment score. So this is the score that's going to really pinpoint how far away is my customer to my baseline. Now, this is updated every day for you. So when you come in the morning, you've got the most up-to-date scores and you can track any of those changes. So you can see here we are tracking changes between our backups, which we run every day. This is an example of some added and removed policies on one of my tenants. This is going to be really important as you start to manage more and more tenants. It gets really difficult to even know what's changing across all the tenants, because the likelihood is you've got different engineers who are potentially in those tenants making changes, sometimes because the customers ask them to, or sometimes because they're trying to fix a problem. And usually people will turn them back, or they're supposed to have been changed, but often there's just no visibility into that, and you won't know until it's too late in most situations. So we're giving you that visibility in the UI, but also we're giving you that alert by email as well. Now you can create custom tags within Inforcer. So this is going to enable you to categorize your customers more effectively. So we know that typically if you've got a large baseline, you're not going to roll out all of the policies on the first day. So by creating these tags, perhaps phased approach, you can deliver the phase one of the baseline to the phase one customers in that baseline. Can really help you to be a little bit more nuanced with the way that you actually deliver policies. And this is your sort of multi-tenant view, right? So you can see all the information across all of your tenants, including the Microsoft Secure Score, which is updated every day as well. If you need to jump into a tenant specifically, you can then jump straight into that one tenant to get more information. For example, the Secure Score recommendations or the admin portals. This is deep linked to this particular tenant. So if you need to jump into Intune to manage the devices, you can do that from here. Again, getting more visibility. And for example, if you need the information around Entra, then again, you're going to get that visibility here to your users. You can export this information, security risks, configuration issues, all these different areas, again, which come from Entra and maybe a little bit spread out around the different portal, trying to give you a consolidated view to make it easier to manage and make it more straightforward for your team. Now, we do have different roles within our tool. So if you want to have an account manager or a technical account manager who has read-only access to certain tenants so that they can get this kind of information, that is definitely possible. So I would say one of the key areas of our platform is our tenant alignment tool. This is where you're going to take a customer from where they are to where you need them to be. And we know with our kind of domain expertise in the MSP space that isn't always just deploying policies. So we're going to give you a view into the things that are already aligned, the policies which need some either change or possibly to be deployed from the baseline, or the things that are in place that have some deviation. So one of the key things that we do is we give you visibility into policies that exist that are similar to the baseline but have a different name. So allowing you to start to standardize on that naming conventions. But you can see we've got a AI analysis tool in here as well. So if we want to analyze a policy with AI, we can compare the similar policy here to the customer. This is actually a baseline policy. And the customer's policy actually does the exact same thing. The only deviation here is the name. So if we wanted to, we could just rename this policy, or we could approve the deviation. So if you have that flexibility, it means your customers can have their different nuances in terms of the setup that they have in their policies, because every customer isn't going to be 100% aligned to the baseline in reality. You can also run reports on all of this. So before you actually go and deploy any policies or make any changes, you can run a customized report, which includes logos and colors, to actually get that sign off before you go and deliver that. And a lot of our partners will be delivering that on a quarterly basis to show their partners or their customers where they are against the baseline on a regular basis. Now, if you need to deploy policies at scale, so perhaps it's a new policy, for example, token theft protection that was added or brought downstream into P1 functionality just last month, you may want to roll that out across the board to all of your business premium tenants. So I'm going to use our CIS baseline so you can see what's in there. So what you would do is you would create a policy in your baseline, or perhaps if it was one of ours, you could use one of our policies. You would find the policy you want to deploy. You can see we've created different tags for our policies to make it easier for your team to understand the impact, for example. If you want to go deeper into the impact, again, you can view that policy impact with AI. And once you've decided it's this policy I want to deploy, you would select the policy. You would choose the tenants, and that could be all of them, or it could be specific tagged tenants. From there, we're going to look for variables, so things like tenant IDs, which are going to be different on all your tenants. You can choose how those policies are going to deploy. So perhaps you're going to do them in report only to begin with. Perhaps you're going to deploy the security groups as well. And from there, we can deploy a single policy from our baseline across potentially all of our tenants, enabling you to get that true multi-tenant deployment when it matters most. If you're looking to be more proactive with our alerting, you can set them up in here. And within the alerting tab, you've got a number of different reports that you can set up, and you can be pretty bespoke with how you build these. So if we were going to go for a secure score drop, you could have gold customers at 80%, and then you would choose the 80% threshold, and then we would just choose our gold customers. This is going to enable us to set up that alert just for the gold customers and start to notify if any of them drop, just giving you way better insights into the changes that are happening across your tenants, not just on a policy level. We've got different alerts here across Entra, across Intune, General 365, and also the alerting around the policy change too. The other thing, as I mentioned, we are backing up your policies every single day and giving you the ability to restore those policies. So should something change, or perhaps a customer asked you to make a change and then they decided they didn't like it, you can roll those policies back really, really easily. And again, it's a similar sort of process to the deploy, very, very straightforward. Just from, instead of reading from the tenant, we're reading from the backup. We've got some great reports, things like MFA status. This is completely customizable. This is going to allow you to position to your customers where they are against, for example, an MFA rollout. We've got some other exports around things like device compliance or devices without BitLocker, all of which you can run across every single tenant if you need to. And Matej is going to cover in the next section some of the areas of the platform which are on the way very shortly, which are going to add even more value on our reporting side. So with that, I am going to hand over, Matej, to you.
Thank you. Let me take over the screen here. So what I'll do is I'll give everybody a quick roadmap update of what we're doing with the product. But before I do, I'm gonna just talk a little bit about what we see happen in the market, what drives our roadmap, right? I've been around for a long time. I actually started when break fix was a thing, and everybody was happy deploying small business server. And then we started to see that wave of RMMs and transitioning into managed services. I worked with one of the major vendors there. Then everybody started to do a lot more around security. But at a certain point, we started to shift to be, like, especially in the SMB space, to deploy a lot of like solutions cloud first. Like, not a lot of Exchange servers were deployed anymore. Everything became cloud first. Many of the MSPs that we work with right now are not just cloud first, they're Microsoft first. And there are many reasons for that. We'll talk about that in a second. But these waves of change, they're happening faster than ever. The next wave is here right now, which is around AI readiness. It's delivering AI or making sure you're ready for AI. And the way I see this, it's almost a layered cake. You have to go through these phases to be able to be like successful at delivering AI. When I look at what we're trying to do as Inforcer, our mission is to help MSPs succeed in this journey, this cloud-first journey, right? We do so on the top of the Microsoft stack, right? So we, as Will just showed, our mission right now is to drive standardization on top of the Microsoft stack, because we see that with the Microsoft stack, delivering something that is more secure and AI ready and scalable is just within your grasp. It's possible. We also see that complexity and like all these different solutions that are perhaps not working together are counterproductive and actually open up many more doors. So when I look at what we encounter in the market, many people say, well, we deliver M365. To me, there are very different types of MSPs. The people that sell M365 and the people that are Microsoft first. They're a modern, Microsoft first modern MSP. And the key differences there are how you think about management and security, etc. And the big one to me is how you think about identity. Like, identity controls everything. And in a cloud first world, every single app is pretty much a SaaS app. And there's nothing like Microsoft Entra, right? That the security that Microsoft Entra provides with conditional access is not comparable to anything else in the market. But then when you take that to the next step, like Microsoft first modern MSPs, they also deliver a different device experience, device management experience. They will take technologies like Microsoft Autopilot to do like a fully automated device enrollment process. They can drop ship a laptop from the disti to the end user and have it happen all automatically. They will use things like the Microsoft Intune company portal, and they will manage their mobile devices with Microsoft application management policies for iPhone, Android. They will do Mac management with Intune. Intune has, for people that are not deeply into Intune, has evolved so much in the last couple of years. It is insanely powerful, especially if you combine it with conditional access and Entra. The security capabilities are just bar none. However, Microsoft first MSPs are also now more and more moving into Copilot. Copilot and Purview, data management. It's not just about endpoint management anymore or identity management, it's about data management. And Copilot is one of those waves that it's just here. Like, I hope you see the same thing, but many SMBs are right now asking for, hey, can I get Copilot? Am I ready for Copilot? And we see great opportunities for MSPs there. Microsoft first modern MSPs, they try to standardize as much as possible, right? It's always been the dream for MSPs to make sure that every single customer is almost the same, so you can create some true scale and some automation. And that's definitely possible with Microsoft. one objective measurement is just secure score, and it's increasingly more important. Like MSPs are gonna be asked to have an 80% secure score, I believe. But the key difference, if and you see this around, a lower secure score is just objectively worse than a higher secure score. And what we're seeing is other MSPs are going into other SMBs and doing a quick assessment and saying, hey, you have a low score, we can make it better. Anyway, the result of these Microsoft first modern MSPs is Microsoft as a true multi-tenant service with like a high secure score, rapidly increasing, and ideally one engineer that can control your entire experience for all your customers. And hopefully, and that's what we see, an experience that based on products that you're already paying for, but you might not be utilizing. And that's where we come in. Like that's our mission as Inforcer. So going into product, like the one thing that why is this slide not showing? Okay. So going into product, the key things that we're trying to do is partner very closely with our customers, right? Our partners, our MSPs, they drive everything what we do. We have a very active Discord community. We have many different customer events, and the feedback of our MSPs drives our roadmap. We are also all about rapid iteration. We aim to deliver a new product every couple of weeks, a new version with tons of new features, and we're just getting started. I believe Inforcer, even though it is very valuable, what we just demoed, I believe a year from now, it will be much, much more, because our mission is to really help you manage that entire stack of Microsoft. And that's Intune, that's conditional access, but there's everything else, Defender. When I look at the very near term, and I'll focus on the very near term, like I have no desire to show you all kinds of things that we're shipping next year. Everything that I'm talking about is either next week or in the next two months. We are doing a couple of things. We are expanding our platform from just beyond alignment and some automation to something that is assessment, alignment, automation, and administration. And the key things here are assessment. Assessment is a new capability that is coming in, very, very powerful technology that is going to help you demonstrate compliance with all the major frameworks out there, or Copilot readiness. It's going to allow you to take any customer, any prospect, and really check how that customer is doing and if they're in a good state or not. We'll talk a bit more about this in a minute. On the alignment side, the engine that we'll just demoed, we're adding more, like every couple of weeks, more policies. The key ones for us that are coming up very, very soon are around purview, DLP, data loss prevention, and the information protection policies are coming in. But there's always more stuff coming on the Intune side. And what we're also doing there is adding the ability to do more customized baselines. Even though we have tagging in place, we think we can make it easier for people to create packaged solutions, like customers that have sort of the basic Microsoft stack and the ones that have the advanced security offering with Purview and Defender, the advanced capabilities, and then just make it easier to deploy that. On the automation side, we're also doing a lot more. Will already demonstrated some of the alerts that we have, but there's a lot more coming. We believe that MSPs want to be proactive. It's very difficult to do that in an environment that is not multi-tenant. We already have our hooks into all your Microsoft tenants, and we're gonna able to do a lot more with that to keep you proactive and more automated. We actually, this was already a week or two ago, we recently released our REST API. We believe in a very open ecosystem with integrations, and you might want to build your own custom reports. That's possible now, and there's more happening in that side of the product. And this quarter, we're also doing integrations with most of the popular PSA systems out there for alerting flows, and likely a lot more than that. So stay tuned if you're using ConnectWise, Autotask, or Halo. And on the administration side, like, yes, we try to bring your tenants into a certain state that is secure, it's better, it's optimized, but there's always work that you need to do to fix something or to change something. And we believe we have a role to play there as well. Some of it is very closely aligned with what we're doing with policies, but some things are completely new. The first step for us is going into a lot more Entra management, but expect more around Intune and Defender and other areas as well. So I'll show you a couple of these things in a minute. But before I do, tenant assessments, what problem does it solve? Because you might think, like what Will showed you earlier with the alignment, does everything you need, right? Because you can check any tenant and determine if it has all your desired policies. Well, yes, but that doesn't necessarily tell you if you are or your customer is fully compliant with your desired compliance framework, like CIS, NIS2, Essentials 8, or Cyber Essentials. Because it will tell you if you have the right policies, but not necessarily if the outcome is really there. And that's a difficult question to answer. Also, is my customer ready for Copilot? That's a very difficult question to answer right now. You have to look beyond just the policies. And also, how much work do I need to do to really onboard that new prospect? Because that prospect might have a very, very different configuration of their Microsoft stack. The managed services group might have like a desire to standardize everyone, but you can't control your prospects. And you need to assess how much time you're going to need to bring them sort of into the right standard. And for all of those things, like prospects, compliance, and Copilot readiness, we've built a wonderful new engine called Tenant Assessment. I'm talking a little bit more about Copilot, by the way, because the story about Copilot is so fascinating, and it actually influences our roadmap a lot. Because our mission is to help you win more on top of Microsoft, sell more services, and Copilot is sexy. It's what a lot of customers are asking for, your end customers. But the truth is, there are a couple of layers that you should be talking about with your customers. One, like, what problems are you solving? What's the value of Copilot? And then, are you ready for Copilot? Is your tenant secure? Are you technically ready? Are your devices configured in a way, your users configured in a way that you want? But also now, data governance. Is your data secure? Is your SharePoint configured properly? Are you using information protection, etc.? And then last but not least, who should get it first? It's still a license you have to sort of sell or buy, depending who you are. But do you want to deploy it everywhere? All of that is part of how we think about assessment. It's a multi-layered approach. So let me just bring up some things that we've been working on. So I have my tenant right here, this is actually the version that we're looking to release next week. So it shows you a bit of how close some of this is. You might already notice that the UI is a bit different. I'll take you through that in a second. But I'll start with the assessment engine. So the tenant assessment engine is a way to quickly assess any tenant. As I said, you will have multiple assessments. I'm going to start with your CIS assessment, but you can fully customize them. You can decide what checks are important to you, and you can take any customer, I don't know, pick a random customer and run a quick assessment against that tenant. And what we're doing now is we're going through that entire tenant, and we're running, in this case, 70 checks that are all related to the CIS framework. In this case, my result is not that good. I have 23 checks that have passed and 45 that have failed and 2 that have warnings. And you can immediately see how we present that. So we're checking all these different products, including SharePoint, Purview, Intune, Exchange, Entra, and we're presenting what is going on and what the status is. Now, the exciting thing about this is it is, as I said, completely aligned with the frameworks that you need to adhere to, but it goes really, really deep. So let's say we have a check here. Ensure a managed device is required for authentication. when I drill into that, it will tell me everything that I need to know about why this is the case, what the criticality is, and also the remediation steps. I can do that for all the checks here. Ensure multi-factor authentication is enabled for all users. That's part of the CIS framework. Now, to be able to determine if this is correct, we have to go really deep. We have to analyze all your conditional access policies and determine if it's enabled, if it's the right policy, if the right settings are enabled. And in this case, we're failing because even though the policies are correct and they're applied to all the right applications and all the right users, it's not enabled, right? So it goes really, really deep. Now, we can remediate that manually, or we can deploy policy. This makes it so easy to use for anyone because I can go into any prospect and just run this, and I don't even have to deploy any policies. I can then export. Let me just export the PDF here, show you what that looks like. Again, brandable, customizable, and it will bring in all the checks, even the licenses, and explain exactly what checks we filled and what needs to be done. This is one of the things that we're releasing probably next week if all testing goes well. So that's a complete, like a big change in the product. The other thing that I did want to show you is the more of the administration side of the product. So when I now drill into one of my tenants, I am able to not only get my dashboards or my Entra ID dashboard that Will showed you a bit earlier. I have all my policies here that I can check and configure, of course. But now I also have my users. And this is Entra ID user management. We are also adding groups, and we're doing, like I said, a lot more, but it allows me to just click into any user, create new users, and manage them, right? So I can, for this user, Aaron Perry, I can see his groups. I can assign new groups if I have the permissions. I can look at the roles. But one of the unique things to our product is, because we're a policy management product, we can see what conditional access policies are applied to this user. And I can go in and troubleshoot and potentially look at all the users and the impact of the policies. So again, this is one of those really cool features. And then again, if Aaron has a problem, I can like reset his password, revoke his sessions, or offboard the user, can disable the user, revoke all sessions, convert to another mailbox, convert to shared mailbox, and assign delegates to his mailbox and remove his licenses. So, like I said, there's a lot we're working on. This is just around the corner, and there's a lot more exciting things to wait for. This covers everything I wanted to share today. I think for the remainder of the session, we'll do a proper Q&A.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Matej. There's quite a lot of questions, but some of them have been answered, I think, by some of like what you just covered and also a bit of what I covered. I'm going to see there was definitely a few which were specifically pointed at Lior. So I feel like everybody knows where they can find me and you, Matej. So while we've got Lior, maybe we should start with him. So question for Lior, the first one I found here is, when will Microsoft allow Inforcer to delete the Microsoft managed CA policies that sometimes push out? I'm not sure if you'll be able to. Oh, you've already answered that one.
Yeah,
okay.
I answered that. We have some stuff. September is like one of those cool months, September and October, because we keep all of the news so close to our chest because November it's Ignite.
Yeah.
So the only thing I can tell you is I am actually doing a session at Ignite about Intune. Attend. I'm promoting my sessions live.
Okay, perfect. So based on the AI point from Will and Lior, is there a current piece of work to enable data policies within the Power Platform to mark apps as business and non-business? Oh, through Inforcer, this is Matej.
To mark.
So is there a current piece of work to enable data policies within the Power Platform to mark apps as business or non-business?
The Power Platform. I'd say stay tuned for what we're doing there. I don't have anything to announce today, but okay. Yeah, it's on our radar.
Okay. Question for Lior. We standardize on Business Premium and fully compliant Windows devices. When is application management coming for BYOD Windows devices, and when will we be able to control Outlook, Edge, Word, etc. via a MAM profile on a registered device?
Yes, so that's a good question, because yes, we do have the MAM solutions for Android and Mac, which for Windows we're going to share more updates around it, but definitely recommend to search a secure browser approach. I think that the approach that we are taking right now, I'm not saying that this is the direction, is to have a web apps access as a MAM perspective. So it's still giving you the full capabilities on your machine. However, it does have the policy and the access through a MAM policy on the web version, if it makes sense. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. So is Microsoft looking in this context to connect the default OData feed in Intune to integrate it easier into products like Inforcer instead of all through Graph? Does that make sense? I think that's a Lior question.
You guys asking me very difficult questions that you're putting me in situations that are topics that I cannot talk about. I can tell you one thing, that we have a partnership and we work closely with Inforcer and our other ISV partner to make sure that data integration and there is access to some data sets that we want to surface through the Inforcer place. It depends on some APIs capabilities and some of the tools, but we are definitely looking and investigating, and actually with Matej's team closely, to see what we can do and how we can enable more and more of those capabilities. Okay,
perfect. So let's have a look. I'm just going through. I've been trying to find specific ones for you, Lior. This one's actually for you, Matej. Are all those new features coming before year end, like assessments, purview, etc.?
Yes. Assessments is September. User management is September. Purview is probably early October.
Okay, perfect. Probably another one here for you, Matej. What level of privileges are needed to conduct an assessment? Thinking about the fact you mentioned it for prospects.
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now, there is one enterprise app. Even though we'd only require read permissions for the assessment, really, we still have like one enterprise app for Inforcer. It is the same for manage and assessments. That said, Q4 we're planning, between quotes, prospecting mode, where we will make it a lot easier to onboard your prospects. And we're gonna do that in a way that you can send a link to your prospects. They can onboard their own tenants, so you don't even have to ask GA permissions. They can control the expiration and probably also what settings they are, what permissions they're going to give you. So that's a lot more customizable.
Okay, perfect. Will we be integrating with SuperOps PSA as well?
I'd have to check. We are, by the way, we're already really open, right? So we can send webhooks and emails to any system out there today. In our community, I've seen some wonderful things there where people are sending great Teams messages in a dedicated channel, and they're doing more like chat ops. And most PSA systems can receive webhooks or emails already. We're planning to go to the next level and do a lot more there, but I think if you're using SuperOps, you should be able to get our alerts already.
Okay, perfect. So I know, Lior, at the beginning you talked a fair amount about sort of patching and stuff like that. So there's a good chat thread going on around that, some recommendations to some other tools that do a great job there. There was a question here about whether Inforcer will be planning to bring app deployment along at some point, Matej.
Look, I don't have anything specific to announce today, but our mission is to make sure that you can deliver everything you need with Intune, right? We believe that there is a future where you'd probably do all your device management with Intune. And there are a couple of things that need to happen, right? We see Intune used with many other tools in combination right now. And part of that is third-party patch management, but there are a few more. And we our mission is to make sure you only need Microsoft, really. So hopefully that answers it.
I just want to call out, earlier this week, we also announced a partnership with a few of our partners helping move apps from on-prem, from Config Manager to Intune. They offer some free solutions. You can look at my LinkedIn and Microsoft blogs around it. So around third-party patch management, there are so many great solutions out there. However, I do want to call out that also for Intune Core, you do have the app management through the Microsoft stores and company portal. But in addition to it, the Intune suite include the enterprise app management capabilities, which has fairly big list of apps, and it's keep improving. So with Matthias' comments, I think we are aligned on this one. We will have a comprehensive first-party solution improving through the Intune suite.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's inevitable, but it's also really important that in a cloud-first world that we live in today, that MSPs have that ability to potentially not have to always use an RMM on every device, because the devices, the users are already in the cloud, and having a great place to go and manage all of that across multiple tenants with Intune, hopefully we can help with.
And another comment, actually, yesterday we announced the Windows 365 web apps, or the online apps management, and also the Windows 365 Reserve. If you didn't read about it, it's like a backup for your actual physical device system. And in order for those apps to be available on Windows 365, you need to move them to Intune Cloud Native. So at the second that you have all of your apps managed on the cloud as well, you are actually expanding additional revenue and customer opportunities, in a sense of providing them with virtual machines for specific scenarios, such as consultants, such as frontline workers, travelers, and even bring your own device. You give them an access to the corporate environment through the Windows app on their phone. So there's a lot of greatness that fits within this ecosystem. So it's a bigger ecosystem. Once you do one move around the apps, it's unblock you with a lot more capabilities afterwards.
Yeah, perfect. Someone asked in the Q&A, is Intune for MSP product being built into Inforcer, or will it be a separate product? I suppose just to clarify there, the Intune for MSPs is the initiative, and so essentially Inforcer will be the product that allows you to manage Intune across your multiple tenants for MSPs, rather than it being a separate product necessarily. It's an initiative where we're working with Microsoft, specifically with the Intune team, the yours team, to help enable MSPs to deliver more services and deliver their device management and overall tenant security at scale, across all of their customers from one place. So we've got one here around the Copilot adoption piece. So our biggest barrier to Copilot adoption is customers with poor data hygiene and the risk of what is my boss's salary. Can we get some kind of free/low cost one-time hygiene assessment for SharePoint, ideally at migration time? I guess, Matej, that's probably one for you.
Yeah, when I look at the Copilot readiness report that is coming up very, very soon, it will look at a couple of areas, and one of them is also data hygiene, and that includes things like, are you enabling the right things in SharePoint? Because still SharePoint permissions drive Copilot, or they impact Copilot quite a bit. The next layer up is, of course, enabling Purview. We recommend people to do that as well. But our first assessment will look at generic SharePoint settings, and then we'll go a lot deeper into the different sites and things like sharing, and give you a little bit more information to determine if you want to turn it on, or if you want to do sort of a data management project for that customer. Like, we're not going to be able to automatically fix all the permissions issues for you, but we're going to be able to flag it and help you explain it to your customer so that you can possibly do a project beforehand.
Yep, makes sense. Another question actually on Copilot readiness in general. What are the main risks involved with just getting a Copilot license and assigning it to a user? Is there anything major that needs to be addressed before doing that and rolling it out?
Is that a question for me?
I think possibly for you. It could be.
It depends. So Copilot is a big brand in a sense because we have Copilot for Microsoft 365, we have Copilot for coding. Okay, but I assume that the question is around Copilot for Microsoft 365. One of the most important things is labeling, document labeling, to make sure that you label it if it's a general access, it's a private, confidential, because Copilot, and I will tell you how I'm using it internally, is I search for the most random decks and documents that we had from 2 or 3 years ago. And I just describe it and Copilot go and find it for me because it has a full access to SharePoint, everything that is public or always connected to my account. So with that being said, you do want to do a hygiene around data access because you don't want some users to be able to find documents that are not supposed to be seen. Hint to you, HR and finance. But on the same time, you also want to make sure that it's a closed ecosystem. And Copilot, one of the biggest differentiators of it, compared to many other AI solutions in the market, all of the data is staying within your tenant. So the model doesn't train on it. And therefore, all of the information doesn't go outside the tenant. So it's already introduced with a big security. Why I encourage everyone to move as fast as possible to Copilot, and for the record, I do not get commission from selling Copilot. It's if you don't give people Copilot license, they will go to all of the other online solutions out there because AI is awesome. And when they start analyzing on OpenAI or Google solutions or everything else that it's free solutions or the $20 a month solutions and uploading your all financial information, your company financial information to those AI just to do an analysis, create PowerPoint or give you some insights just because they really want to make their job more efficient and more comprehensive, you are introducing a risk of leaking data into public AI domains that are being trained. So this is where Copilot is important.
I'd like to add one more thing because I do sense a lot of MSPs are worried about Copilot, but I think part of the readiness and how we see it is also to help you increase the success of a Copilot project, because you don't want to get into a situation where customers are just getting Copilot and they don't consider it valuable. So we want to help our MSPs to build the sort of the story around it. Like, why is it valuable? What is the business case around it? What are you looking to accomplish? And of course, there are multiple levels in Copilot, right? You have the people that use it for meeting transcription or like drafting a Word document. But the next level up is, of course, agents. And even on that level, you have the sort of the basic agents and the more advanced agents that you build with Copilot Studio. We want to be there with you for that journey, and it's not just about preventing people from getting Copilot right now because the data is not ready. It's also making sure you talk about the outcomes, and that is a very different conversation than talking about security, to be honest. But it helps you sell security.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks a lot to everybody for joining the call today. We had a lot of people, which is really great to see. And especially thanks, Lior, for your time. We really appreciate it to come on and speak to so many of our partners and also other MSPs who aren't using Inforcer yet. We really appreciate it. We're excited about this initiative. We're really looking forward to being able to work closely with you guys to help more MSPs to deliver more services through Intune.
Thank you all. And please ping me on LinkedIn if you have any feedback. I would love to hear directly from our customers.
And if anybody didn't get their question answered, sorry, we will come back to you directly. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.